allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes from the September 5th, 2023 meeting.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hamry.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robbins. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Awards and proclamations, we have nothing. We have a public hearing at 5:30 PM today for the FY 2024 budget, salary plan, and position authorization. Spencer.
Yep, so just a quick rundown, have many conversations over the past few months. Salary plans, 3% cost of living. For the grade and step chart, we're going to add a column and drop a column. The bonuses to employees have to be distributed on April 1 and the other on October 1. And then the city taking on an additional 1% of ND PERS, as well as the nationwide 457B plan that we have for employees that predated ND PERS. Budget, the budget details are laid out on all those staff reports. Sales tax revenue projected at 2% increase for $4.182 million. Total levy of $1,886,432, which is 91.11 mils, 2 less than in 2023. Since the approval of the preliminary and today, one of the changes that we just reallocated our personnel expenses in the sanitation department just a little bit. We had 75 and 25% of employee we had to switch. At the end of the day, the fund balance did not increase. And so then would welcome any questions. I want to thank everyone that was a part of it over the last few months, and feel like we set a good course moving forward for 2024. So
What was the mills or what was the price per mill in 2024?
$20,705
That's 2024.
in 2024. This year it was $20,255.
How much?
$20,255. And that excludes our TIF districts. If we included our TIF districts, in total it would be about $23,000, a little over.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to speak to the public hearing on the budget, city budget? Is there anyone here to speak to it or wishes to speak to it? If not, I will close the hearing. And now I would entertain a motion to approve the FY 24 budget.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 budget as presented.
Commissioner Robbins moves.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Hatch. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry?
Aye.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
President Mo?
Aye. Motion carries. Nothing under bid opening. We have visitors and delegations with us today. This evening is Lisa Crosby from the Lake Region Heritage Center and Paula Visted. Welcome, girls. Here to speak to us about an adventure, I understand. A good
Yes.
adventure.
I hope a very exciting adventure. So thank you for taking time to hearing about this. And I'm sorry it did take place right after the budget cycle because usually when you see me, it's about funds. But this kind of fell into our lap just within the last month and a half. Otherwise, I would have brought this to you earlier. When I called the Glixon's building, a New Look Boutique Opera House. It's been sitting empty since the New Look Boutique is no longer with them. And with a short conversation in the Heritage Center about what's going on, it quickly came around that it should be a gallery space with workshop, educational space for artwork, and retail space for a gift shop, only local vendors. And so Metro Plains, I met with them. I met with Gary Stenson, and they came in with an offer, if it's a community workspace, of $1,200 a month. Now we know that the Lake Region Heritage Center can't fund that. I mean, we are lean on what we have. So I'm coming to the city to see if they could assist us in making a art center for the community. I think you just today probably got in your packet what the coordinator would be. Now, we are not having a salaried position at this point. All of the coordinator who is Amber Fletchock, all she would get funding through grants. So it would be nothing from the Lake Region Heritage Center's budget at all. And she knows that. If I don't get the grants, she's not going to get that money. So anyway, she did send what her projected ideas would be to do from basically October, November through the fall. And she's got tons of ideas. I know her. She is local. I do have her bio if any of you want to see it. But she does have a bachelor's in art and painting from the MSUN. But anyway, long story short, we would love to make that into a beautiful gallery space in the front. It would have exhibitions from hopefully the local students, artists from all around the state, and anything that's being taught in that space would also be shown in the front when we have those exhibitions. And then on that side panel, it shows the Opera House, but there's kind of a big display window, and that would always be showing something as well. And so, yeah, Paula, if you have anything.
We have 2 artists that have signed up to
Oh, yeah.
contract into the building.
The studio space. Yeah. So there's 2. If you guys haven't been in there recently, there's that space you can see right behind it, quite a large retail space. And then there's 2, it would have been dressing rooms, but they would have been really big dressing rooms beside each other. We would like to rent that out for studio space for artists. And then they would in turn be able to sell their pieces in the local space. But then beside that is a large workspace that's where we would have all the classes. And then there is an attached bathroom and a sink room. You know how I get excited about sink rooms. So there's already a 3-partition sink in there. And there's that lobby that we could make look just really beautiful. The workshop space could be locked and separate. When there's classes with kids in the evening, we could block off all the other space so they weren't running around everywhere. But
So we hope to do some classes with kids, with adults, whether it be clay medium or watercolor, whatever it might be. I was into art through high school and college and really felt that the community lacked in it here. In my retirement, I'm looking to do more art and went online, and there's nothing in Devil's Lake. You have to go to Grand Forks or Fargo to throw a pot, to do watercolor, anything like that, any classes. It would be lovely. And I've talked to several retired people in this community that are looking forward to doing something in a class here
Lisa.
in the Lake region.
You should talk to my mother.
I will talk to your mother.
There's several people. And another thing that
Well-
Lisa neglected to say is that it would all be volunteer people that would be running the facility itself. Like she mentioned, there would be no paid positions, but there are several people waiting in line to help.
Mhm.
So it's a well-needed facility within the
So
community.
is it just 15,000 you're looking for?
A year.
Over,
But I
yeah.
think,
Yeah.
I did have a conversation with Spencer, and he did, I guess what we call on him, he did do some figuring for us to see what would be available, and I suppose Spencer.
Yeah, so if the city commission's inclined to support this endeavor, and talking with Lisa and Paula, we had recently earmarked the $350,000 for quality of life initiatives. $250,000 of that the park district will be here in January. We've obligated those funds to the park district, so there's $100,000 left. And I don't know if they plan to go with a 3-year lease or a 5-year lease, but at least maybe the commitment, like I said, if you guys are inclined to support, is the $15,000 over the course of if it's the 5 years, then it would be $75,000. If it's 3 years, then it would be $45,000. But we can obligate those funds over the next 5 years, which would leave $25,000 left for those other quality of life purposes when we had transferred that money out. So that would be my proposal to the commission on how they could support this if they want to.
I'm just wondering, is that 15,000, that's just covering the rent?
That's the
Yes.
rent.
And the supplies are brought in by who?
Grants, us, we have some things at the Heritage Center, but otherwise grants. And then Amber has a idea to get a lot of the supplies from people in the community that, might just be sitting on them. And there are some colleges, sadly, that have lost their art program that we could probably, work with. And I want to say also, the park board used to have an art program in the summer. If I'm sure any of you that grew up, we remember that program, and it hasn't been around for quite some time. And we would love to put that on. Everybody has softball and swimming, and we really need to bring that back. So that would also be included in this, is a kids arts series program for the park board.
Yeah,
Well,
partner.
And the participants could bring their own supplies as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true too.
No.
Well, and the classes won't all be free. So those
Yeah.
supplies will be paid for, built into the class. But for the kids specifically, we would work with the service programs and things to get scholarships so that people that can't afford it, it would be affordable for any kid that wanted to go to art.
If you're looking at additional monies, we would be happy to take additional.
Well, no, my daughter sits up in her room, and I've got more money into Walmart for those little, I don't know what they're called, you paint on them, then you can hang them on your wall. That's how much I'm artistic.
Canvases,
Thank you.
yes.
And she will do that for hours, so this is awesome.
I'm drawn.
I might have missed it too, sorry to interrupt, so I apologize. What would be used to cover electric, water, heating?
It's a rental property, so the only thing we need to cover is the rent and,
Electricity.
yeah, everything else is included in the rent.
Thankfully, heating is paid for. And then, of course, there's telephone and internet and things like that. But we do, any art that's sold in the building, we will retain 30% commission. So anything that's sold, we will be making money on. And then also grants. We're just gonna go crazy on art grants.
I'm just drawing a blank. Which building is it?
Right corner, Fourth and Fourth, the old Glickson's building.
Is it-
Yeah.
Okay, looking at the Heritage Center, is it, on
One
Fourth
block,
and Fourth?
Fourth and Fourth.
Oh,
Just down from Chinese.
Okay, okay.
Right across from-
And Fourth and Fourth would be the south,
Right across
east,
from-
south.
South,
across from Lotta's.
southeast corner.
Okay,
Right across from Lotta's, old Glickson's building.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
So nice location. I agree with you. It would be
Yeah.
a nice little figure.
And everything's good in the building too, there's no issues that you guys can see that might need some repair or anything like that?
It's just been recently
Yeah,
renovated.
it is perfect for what we want it for.
Spencer, is this something where we could do this year, but then we could make it a line item in the budget?
Well, certainly it would be a line item in the budget. We would do that in the economic development fund with the quality of life stuff. If let's say hypothetically they do a 5-year lease and we do that quality of life line item, we could maybe then just make it part of our overall general fund budget beyond that 5 years if it works out to be a success, which we're all hoping for. I would just add also one more thing in regards to the lease and the rent. The lease would be in the Heritage Center's name.
Mhm.
We would just be reimbursing the Heritage Center for it, just so that the city wouldn't have any legal ties there.
Well, looking at what you've written up here and everything with the 15,000, I'd make a motion to do 20,000 to cover your electricity costs too, would be my motion.
20,000 per year or how, just 1 year?
No, per year for their lease.
Mayor, members of the commission, if it would make you guys.
Well, we better get a second before it goes done. We've got a motion. It's at 20,000. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, I think this is a great idea, and much needed thing for the community, this is an amazing idea.
Okay, we have a second by Commissioner Pierce. So for further discussion. Okay.
I would just add, we can do, in the spirit of what Commissioner Henry said, we can do probably possibly up to $20,000. And then if they want to give us the exact numbers of what the lease and the electricity is, we can send the exact dollar. If that would-
And then you were talking maybe a multi-year, it'd be wise just to go a 1 year at a time thing, just,
We
if
have,
things take work and if it falls apart, then we're not stuck, you're not stuck to a
I
5-year
will be
contract.
stuck into the lease for at least 3 years, preferably 5.
Oh, okay, that's, okay, maybe I didn't read
That's
that
a
close
Metro
enough.
Plains.
It's Metro Plains. It
longer
has to be
lease,
3,
Okay.
preferably 5.
Okay.
The longer lease, the chance, but it won't go up, the chances of keeping
Yeah.
it the same as.
Yeah, yeah, because if it's successful, wildly successful, as I hope it will be, yeah, the chances of that rent jacking up will be pretty high.
So we have a motion for 20 grand a year for 5 years,
Wait
is
one
that,
second, yep.
we have a second. by
Oh,
Commissioner-
okay, I just
Commissioner
wanted to make
Pierce.
sure, yep.
What is it? Spell it out.
Oh, it's up to 20,000 and
For a
we'll
period
get
of 5
the
years,
utility bills and we'll pay exactly what the utility bill is.
3 years, 5 years?
5 years.
5 years. Everybody, any questions on that? Okay, let's do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry?
Aye.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
President Mo?
Aye,
Oh,
unanimous.
Congratulations, ladies. Great job. It's amazing.
Yes, it's certainly something
Yeah.
we need in our community. So,
I have one more thing, but thank you so much. I can't even believe that. Oh my God.
we
Oh,
have-
I don't even cry easy and I could shed a tear. However, I do need to also request funds for quarter 4 for the Lake Region Heritage Center. And
Those are
this-
budgeted for.
Yeah, those
Yeah.
are budgeted for. So,
I have nothing to do.
she has nothing to.
We'll need a motion.
Hey, I'll make a motion to accept Lisa's, or to, accept Lisa's request for the, or pay Lisa's request for the Heritage Funds.
We have a motion by Commissioner Robbins, second by Commissioner Hatch to pay the funds for the Lake Region Heritage Center. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Pierce?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry?
Aye.
Commissioner Hash?
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins?
Aye.
President Mo?
Aye. Good.
Yay! Thank you
Keep
so
up the good
much.
work, Lisa.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you. Okay, commission portfolios. Commissioner Hamry.
You ready, Mr. Grasser?
I am Commissioner, I have nothing under utilities tonight.
Short and sweet, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Hatch.
Anything under sanitation, Mike?
Special pickup starts this week. That's the only thing under sanitation.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Commissioner Robbins.
Liking the look.
Nothing tonight for streets.
Nothing for streets. I was not commenting on your looks. The beard, oh,
My midlife crisis.
yeah, exactly. It's looking good.
I thought if I started early enough, I'd beat the police chief on No Shave November.
All right.
So we'll see what happens.
But the streets, the only thing going on is the 14th.
With streets, yeah, that would be under engineering. They start
Okay.
placing gravel. There was the cement stabilization on Midco Road or 14th Street Northeast occurred last Friday. So that was put into shape and now fabric and gravel is going down on 14th Avenue. That'll continue on to 14th Street Northeast. So we'll be working on that. Hopefully, most of that gravel and then that work will be, if not complete, near complete this week.
And the gravel is gonna be about X amount of thickness, is it close to a foot they're putting on top of the fabric?
Correct.
That is just such a wonderful thing.
Yeah, the whole point, I mean, 14th Avenue has always been a fairly good road from the cemetery going north to the Four Corners. 14th Street Northeast have been, a problem area, especially in the springtime with frost boils, depending upon how wet the previous fall was. So that's where the cement stabilization came into play, where there was actually cement put down on the roadway, and then that was blended with the surface there. It went down about 12 inches, added some water, and shaped it. So now you have hopefully a hard base. The intent is to have a hard base, and then we'll put fabric and gravel on top of that. The intent is we'll monitor the roadway for a few years, see what happens, and potentially could see pavement in the future, depending upon how things come together. Those two sections of roadway are on our urban road system. So we're able to access federal funds to help offset some of the construction costs with that.
All right, yeah, it looks like it's going very well. so far?
So far, yes. And then with engineering, there's water main replacement work continues on Second Street. Doing some digging on 10th Avenue and Second Street currently. We'll be doing some water main replacement on 10th Avenue from 2nd to 3rd Street, and then continuing on 2nd Street from 10th Avenue to 12th Avenue. Our hope is to have that work complete yet this year. Right now, we're going to proceed as that work will continue, and hopefully we're able to get it in. The only real concern is one, asphalt replacement with cooler temperatures in October, and making sure that the water main is in place and usable, because in the meantime, residents are using temporary water service. Temporary water service in freezing temperatures doesn't work that well when you're feeding temporary water through garden hoses and outside fixtures. So we're monitoring that a little bit, but the plan right now is we're going to proceed and try and have that work completed.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
I got a couple questions for Mike, if I can get in here real quick.
It's your turn anyhow, Commissioner.
On those four corners, I've been asked by a few folks if stop signs are gonna be put up there once it's paved.
At the Four Corners intersection of 14th Avenue and 14th Street? Is that,
Yeah, the four corners, whatever area that exactly is.
right now, we're not changing any of the signage. And, you know, at this point, we're just continuing with the gravel surface. It's just going to be an improved gravel surface that hopefully will support the traffic a little bit better than the existing gravel.
All right, they had some concerns about those the ATVs, the side-by-sides, people flying through there and stuff, so I just figured I'd ask because they'd asked me.
Right now, signage, we're not adjusting, but we are adjusting the road profile a little bit going off of that intersection. There's a little bit of a, you know, we're adjusting the vertical alignment. There's some kind of a little bit of a hill there that can cause some people, if you're driving a little too fast, to lose control. And so we're improving that, the ride, the vertical profile a little bit, but nothing signage.
Okay, and then for the west overhang, that was, I don't know which department this would be under, but that was graffitied again pretty big, as you probably saw today. Is that something that the city is going to paint to match that paint killer scheme that's on there, or is that something that I can do with the supplies that I have?
No, that paint color is a little bit different than the paint that you've used on the east underpass. Public Ways will be addressing that. So we did have some extra paint. I asked Public Ways to take a look at it, and we're going to try and get that covered up as soon as possible, so that whoever.
If I'm not there, I just wanted to make sure I asked before I went and did anything.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think Commissioner Hamry also volunteered some services for doing some. I don't know that it's art. It's just covering of. Just going to do the flat surface, but no, we're going to try and get that covered as soon as we can, so that whoever tried to do graffiti is not going to get any of their advertisement out there, or for as short a time as possible, and try and get that addressed prior to temps dropping off, so the pavement or the paint adheres. Should be covered up this week.
Thank you.
Okay, now you can cover your portfolio, Commissioner.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, we got Chief, you there?
Yep. So we had our open house last Wednesday. We had just over 200 people come through, so that was a huge turnout. The Community Connect thing that we launched last week, I believe, last Friday, had it in the paper, on the radio and stuff. We've actually got about 26 people already signed up for that. So, and lots of people calling with questions. So that's good. We got Fire Prevention Week coming up next month, which turns into Fire Prevention Month. We got schools already scheduling their tours and be busy. So if the commission doesn't mind, I'm gonna.
But everything went okay with that structure fire then, out at the river park?
Yep.
Not just any questions, Mayor, that's all I have for you, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and enjoy your rest of your time there, by the way.
Yeah, I'm teaching classes right now, so it'll be a week of teaching classes, then I can finally relax.
Okay. All right. My turn. So, Chief.
I got nothing.
Nothing. Okay, that's good. How about you, Spencer?
Just two quick things. The Special Assessment Commission met this morning at 10 o'clock. They certified the special assessments, had just one constituent inquiry and answered pretty pretty easily. And so that will be before you for final approval on October 16th. So second meeting in October, we'll have you there for special assessment approvals. We got 2 street projects and then our 3 standard miscellaneous parking and curb and gutter. So, and then League of Cities is this week. So I'll be in Bismarck Wednesday to Friday, and we'll report back at the next meeting on anything that's enlightening that comes out of those conversations out there.
Okay, good enough. Jack?
No updates from me.
Nothing?
No.
Okay.
Jack, where are we at with those nuisance letters for the vehicles and parks and stuff like that?
I have to touch base with Nate on that. I don't know where we're at. I think they're ready to go out no, they've gone out.
I was gonna
So
say, I
don't
thought
know.
it was
Yeah,
told
they've
they
gone
went
out. So I gotta circle back with Nate on that.
It was my understanding they've been sent
Yeah,
out.
that's right. They've been sent out. Yep. And then, that's all I have for you on that, but I can get back to you on that. And then we're still waiting for the LEC on deeding them the property and the JPA.
They have their meeting coming up on Wednesday, so.
Okay. All right.
Okay, that's it?
Yep.
Anything from the commissioners for anybody? Not, we'll move on. We'll go under old business and the Western/Summers Loan Guarantee Funding Plan. Spencer?
Mayor, all members of the commission, last meeting, the commission desired to see a plan to pay that guarantee off in full. Dollar amounts, $343,027. I attached a staff report, which is the plan and the corresponding effects that they would have on this year's budget projections. Just on the high level, the proposal is to stay consistent with the funding mechanism of the growth fund while keeping a high enough balance in the growth fund so that if there was an opportunity to strike if the appropriate circumstance or opportunity arose. So the growth fund is funded by sales tax dollars. And so the proposal is to reallocate the percentage of sales tax across the city's budget and increase the allocation towards the growth fund and then reduce the allocation to a few of the debt financing funds that we have. Currently, those bonds are sitting at 2%. We have very high reserve balances in those. And so pumping the brakes on those was a strategy that we adopted for the 2024 budget. So that would just be deploying that similar strategy here in 2023. And so currently about $246,000 if the revenue projections hold at $4.1 million for sales tax, which is about right on the nose where we're at so far per the end of August. So 246,000 would be added to the growth fund, and then the remaining 100,000, because this guarantee was made with growth money, the other $100,000 would be taken out of the growth fund, the $100,000 hit. So that's the proposal before you, if the commission still desires to pay off in full.
I'll recuse myself from this.
Okay.
Would be happy to answer any questions, but again, just looking at it, knowing that the growth fund is funded with sales tax dollars, I try to keep with that in mind.
Okay. Well, commission, what's your wishes?
I had lots of thoughts on it, but unfortunately, I didn't get my due diligence done between last meeting and this meeting. I was still trying to recover some information on how the sale of the excess inventory went and how that was divvied out. Brad and I have spoken. And Brad talks to me, but I don't talk Brad all the time, it seems like. Sometimes we communicate, but I don't always follow at the end of the conversation. But so I was trying to talk to some other people and I didn't get that done, unfortunately. I myself just have one or two questions. I feel more comfortable paying it off in full if I got the proper information I was looking for, or the full information. And we talked earlier, Brad, about it, everything.
It was a $500,000 guarantee. old inventory was to be sold to reduce that guarantee. So it went from 500 to 343. The inventory that was sold went to North Dakota Development Fund, Bank of North Dakota, and to Western Bank, obviously. I mean, or Fort Devils Lake is what I'm trying to say. The proceeds were split one third. So we got 1/3 of that buy down amount. So
We got 1/3 of a $450,000 sale then. That, I mean, and like I say,
multiple sales led up to that point. It wasn't one.
What wasn't
sale,
one,
you know,
okay.
it was, you know, the different types of
and
inventory.
my
That's how I understand it and how I've been told.
and that's probably, I should just be quiet and listen, but the thought was we were never brought up to date on anything when it was all happening. So that's where my mind goes in questioning it, because it all happened and we weren't really given any information. I don't know if we would have been privy to it when it was happening anyway, but if we'd have been given a little information, this is going on at this point, I'd feel a lot more comfortable than after the fact saying this is what happened and this is what you got and this is what we got and this is what you owe.
We were guaranteed to the note, but yeah, the sales were occurring over the course of time and we weren't privy.
And so I like say
We
that,
didn't get updates, you know, we were just told that inventory was being sold and the liability was being reduced.
Oh, I got a question too. I had a banker hit me up and he was wondering why there wasn't ever a reserve fund set up for this. The guarantee went in default. And banks carry reserves for loan defaults for this.
Once again, the growth fund is what funds us, so it's back to the city then. We don't have funds at Fort Devils Lake. We recommend to the city and the city guarantees, so.
Yeah. and we approved
Yeah.
it, yeah.
I'm going to go off of what some constituents have hit me up and said, and I'm going to, if you want a motion, Mayor,
No, we were looking for a motion.
make a motion that we don't pay this.
We have a motion on the floor not to pay it. Is there a second?
My motion would be, or, I mean, to follow up with that.
We-
I
We need a second or we
Yeah,
should
I'll
have
make a
discussion. We have a
Second.
second of not to pay it, okay? Now we have further discussion.
And with that mind of not paying it, just to get a little more information. I mean, I know we've visited and we've been told stuff, but I haven't seen anything other than what we've been told. And I feel bad doubting it, but the bank is looking out for their interests. They have to look out for their interests. I'm looking out for our interests. And that's the only reason I'm doing it. I mean, I don't accuse
We
or
will.
think anything less of anybody. I just want to see something that validates what's
So what
been
you'd
done.
like to see is what was sold and how was, you know,
How-
some
yeah.
sort of report that way.
Something as simple as that in my mind.
Well, what kind of got me on it was the 350,000 that was stated by Brett was peanuts. I don't think our constituents think that's peanuts.
No, the, Mr. Commissioner, what I said was that in the
Not
scheme,
Brett.
I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Not-
But what I also said, and Brett said, it was 80 jobs that we were trying to save. And in the scheme of economic development, if we had a company come to us today with primary sector, benefited, high-paying jobs, it would cost us a lot more as a community to get that type of business in our community. So to retain that company and to keep them, that's where I said it's a good expenditure. Now, it's still a loss, don't get me wrong, I understand that. But we have a company that has been purchased. Bank has made significant loss. Bank of North Dakota has had a significant loss. Our loss is the smallest of those three entities that funded the North Dakota Development Fund has a loss. Our loss is the smallest, and the constituents are in our community. So the people that I work with, Bank of North Dakota, the North Dakota Development Fund, the Department of Commerce, they're saying, congratulations, we saved a business. We didn't lose a business. It could have been bought just like Dots Pretzels in Velva, North Dakota, and they're moving. This company's staying. It's still going to be Summers Manufacturing. They've got a $5 million infusion from a corporate level for growth. They're investing money, from what I understand, into automation, robotic welding, and things of that nature. So to me, it's a win. a win with a loss, you know, from that
I'm
standpoint.
elected by constituents, so I've got to listen.
But my question was, Brad, I lost my train of thought there. But had we not done it, would the bank been willing to foreclose on them and then sell it off? And they would have felt good about it apparently, because they were trying to get, not felt good, but I mean, so thank you, Forward Devils Lake, for sacrificing $350,000 to save jobs. But if you wouldn't have done that, we'd have probably shut the doors and sold it off at auction type of thing.
We'd have lost those
So-
jobs anyhow. Yeah, it would have closed up, we'd have lost it.
The company liquidated versus the company going forward
It's
is
way better going forward.
night and day.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
But
and the recommendation was from our board to you, and you guys made the decision. Forward Devils Lake didn't make the decision. You guys made the decision to do that guarantee.
Right.
And now they're asking us to honor the guarantee. Was it a game of chicken? I mean, was it a game of if we said no, the deal would have happened? All the knowledge that I had in talking with the companies that were involved is it might not have happened. So I still weigh those 80 jobs and the families that are there, the tax revenue that we're seeing from those products to make a difference for the community. That's the benefit that we see in the Forward Devils Lake board. So
Are we willing to accept the lawsuit that will come with this and all the expenses that are gonna be in additional, and if we lose it, we're still paying it?
Or could we,
I mean, I get the fact that we owe our
we can find
constituents,
something off there.
our residents, this is a bad deal, but bad deals happen.
I live agriculture. Agriculture is never guaranteed from one year to the next. It's either feast or famine. It doesn't mean that this business is gonna be here next year,
But we have 80 jobs still working.
for right now. For right now.
Hopefully it's for quite some time.
I'm hoping so too, but.
And the fact that we
agriculture's
tried
very
to work
volatile.
with Western a little bit and kind of ease the burden for us, and it was like, sorry, we're not gonna do that. This is what you got. And like say, so the reason I would support Shane's motion is to either get a little more information or B, get a little bit of something back.
Spencer, you,
Yeah, Mayor, members of the commission, and just in the overall circumstances, you know, I think Mayor, I've talked to you offline, and Commissioner Robbins, you know, from the second that we kind of heard this come down the pipeline, right? There's a sour taste, right, with it all. And I was talking to Brad, and you know, from the second that the city made that guarantee on that loan, the most likely scenario, if the city was going to have to pay on that guarantee, was that all the jobs would be leaving, it would be closing down, and we would have to pay on the guarantee. And so the fact that, you know, that we're paying on the guarantee, or the guarantee's coming due, and the jobs are staying is, you know, a silver lining in the grand picture of what I'm trying to view here. And so obviously it's unfortunate, but there are positives that are coming along with this compared to what could have happened. And so I would just make that known on the record.
Just so we're clear, we have no idea if our decision previously regarding the guarantee saved those jobs or not. The North Dakota Development Fund pulled out of that agreement, and in that agreement they were in the same position we were in, and the agreement still went through. So that's kind of a misnomer, but I just wanted to make that clear.
well, that guarantee kept that business alive for 4+ years, yeah, for sure. So that there was 4 years left on that, with that business. So we got 4 years longer than we would have probably had. We would have closed the doors had we not guaranteed it. So they have a plus there.
Potentially, but we don't really know
Well,
enough about the insides to know that, similar to the
then-
Kojak deal, right? Like
True.
Kojak, we didn't do that, and that's still up and running.
Right, but we still have a viable business running there right now, and it's, from what I understand, that they're willing to invest.
to
And I
Commissioner
really think
Robbins,
it's-
Commissioner and Mayor, I think your request to get information on how the inventory,
I
that
would
was
like
never
to-
part of
yeah,
the
and Shame on
guarantee.
me, I should have done this before this meeting, so
Yeah.
I'll take the grief for not getting it done, but I might be inclined to think differently if we got a little bit of information.
Should we just table this thing then, until you have the information you're looking for?
Are we gonna get the true information?
Well,
I mean,
I guess you read it. and you-
if you,
Well, I don't know.
their lawyer may hide stuff.
We still need a motion unless
We have a
vote on the
motion to-
unless it's withdrawn.
And your motion was not to pay it, period.
That's his motion. Correct. And you
I
second.
seconded that. It's hard, I'm just trying to think it through as far as 2 weeks from now, to get some information and I feel good about it. Then, or do we wait until they try to sue us for that money? I'm not sure which is the way to go to get out of the corner we're in right now type of thing. As far as, so if I was to rescind the second and make it another, what are the options?
They should
You,
take action.
so you can't rescind the second, but then you still can vote either way.
Oh, okay, yep, go ahead.
So where do we stand?
Just gotta
We
vote
just
on
gotta
it.
vote down there.
Okay, well, roll call, please.
Commissioner Pierce,
Before, let's get an understanding. Voting aye means you support the motion, correct?
voting aye means you support the motion and not pay it.
Right. Okay, just so we're clear.
Commissioner Pierce,
No.
Commissioner Hamry.
Aye.
Commissioner Hash. Oh yeah, excuse me, recused. Commissioner Robbins.
I'm gonna go no.
President Mo.
No. Motion
Okay.
fails.
Okay, but we haven't had the motion to pay yet either.
No.
So I'd like to make a motion to collect some more information on this payment to this bill. And I don't want to pay it right now, so I'd like to gather more information.
Table it until
It's-
such time you get
well-
more. Is that how you want to do it, or are we tabling it?
You
or-
want all the paperwork they have on your table.
I would like something, yes, just so I can look at it and
Okay.
say, okay, I'm totally cool with this, it was done right. So is that what do you suggest, table or just a motion? Table,
Table, yeah,
okay,
gain
all
more-
right, we'll table it for now, I'll make a motion to table this for now.
We have a motion to table it to gain more information.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Commissioner Hamrick. Okay, any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Pierce,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry.
Aye.
Commissioner Hash. Commissioner Robbins.
Aye.
President Mo.
Aye. So.
I
Can I task Brad with
I
that?
will, I will
Make
work
it
to
happen.
collect information on the allocation of the excess inventory and how it's dispersed is what you're asking for.
Please.
Can we use our attorney to grant information from their attorney too?
Is there anything you can chase, Jack, Tilly?
I can talk to Mike Gus, but you guys will probably collect it faster than I would. But we can talk about it.
Okay.
And then just to note for the record, Commissioner Hatch abstained from that last. Oh, you just did a hand signal, but it wasn't on the record, so I just wanted to make sure that that you did recuse from that vote.
Okay, move on. Under consent agenda, not a thing. Under new business, a resolution setting rates and fees effective January 1, 2024. Spencer.
Mayor, one member of the commission went over the rate changes for 2024 at previous meetings and how those are expected to impact the utility bills. Details are attached. Only one change added since the last conversation, and that's adjusting the septic hauler lagoon dumping fee from $55 per 1,000 gallons to $60. Again, setting these effective January 1, 2024 as the revenue projections reflect the rate changes for our budget. So would welcome any questions. Otherwise, would staff recommends approval.
Mr. Grassgard, have they been pretty good on the commercial haulers for the septic? Have they been pretty good paying and signing in and signing out?
There isn't necessarily a sign in or a sign out, but there are cameras watching that. That's verified with the utility department. So that part, the amount of septic haulers has actually dropped off. There's some septic haulers that are choosing to dump elsewhere. And that saves us a lot of maintenance on the lagoon system. So yeah, we don't have an effective way to receive and effectively disperse the loading from the septic haulers. So if they find a better place to dump, works for them, works for us.
Okay, okay, what's the wishes of the commission?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Commissioner Hamry,
Second.
second by Commissioner Robbins. Any discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Second item, city policy manual, updates and additions. Spencer.
Mayor, members of the commission, so attached is the most recent copy and the updated version of the city's employee policy manual. This is the first update since.
Spencer, can you pull the microphone a little closer to you? Sorry to interrupt, but I can barely hear you.
So that right there. Can I have that? It's right there, the podium. Podium, the little. So it's the most recent copy of the updated employee policy manual with a couple additions. Big 2 or 3 things here are one of the clarifications that we made. You'll see is it's kind of in the 4th bullet on the staff report. Employees are limited to 1 step increase per calendar year, either at the conclusion of their introductory period or in July as part of the evaluation process, unless further approved by the city commission. There are a lot of instances where there are employees that are hired, we'll say August to November, where their 6 months comes up in that February to May timeline. And normally as part of that 6-month introductory period, they get a step increase when they come on as a full-time city employee. And then also we do employee evaluations in July, right? And so then there's been times where we've intentionally hired people a little lower on the scale, knowing that during the time that they were hired, that they would accelerate a little faster. I'm not sure that this is being, we'll say, enforced, consistently across the department. Some department heads are a little different. Sometimes we hire employees a little higher. Sometimes we hire them a little lower, knowing these sorts of things. And so basically this just sets it clear and straightforward, so it's fairly and consistently administered moving forward, which was determined by both the Policy Advisory Committee, which is the mayor and Commissioner Robbins by appointment, city employee representative Helen Carlson, and then Brina and myself, and then as well as the department head team, the people that are doing most of the hiring within the organization, felt that this would, to include myself, would be a more desirable than our current practice. Just set it clearly stated moving forward as to what the expectations are as far as those step increases go. In talking with the Policy Advisory Committee, there was a desire to see a drug and alcohol standard statement communicating the seriousness of which the city puts in drug and alcohol violations, and a reminder that city employees reflect upon the organization both during and outside working hours. And then the last part was the addition of an employee grievance process. This was created with the goal to clarify both the city employees and senior leadership how to properly go about handling disputes, primarily pertaining to disciplinary matters. The goal, was, to utilize all layers of management in the organization, keep personnel matters, in appropriate forums, maintain elected leader involvement in the end if decisions need to be made at a higher up level, and establish a clear expectation that written documentation will exist. So it's an attachment B, the grievance procedure. First, it defines some terms. When an employee has a grievance, if it's related to a disciplinary matter, we'll just say the employee gets demoted or suspended. They are, let's say it was, hypothetically, let's just say it's a sanitation employee. They could then, in writing, appeal it to the department head. If it's the department head that would be doing if it's the department head and the employee that have the grievance between each other, they would report in writing to myself, the city administrator, of which then we would respond within 10 days of that inquiry, 10 working days. And then part of this is the creation of a grievance review board. which would be comprised of the mayor, the commission portfolio holder, if that person is the same person, the vice president of the city commission, the city attorney, and then the HR consultant as an ex officio advisor. And it's laid out there as to what the grievance review board can do, and kind of lists what those non-grievable items are, pay, benefits, having to work overtime when you might not want to work overtime, those sorts of things. Primarily, this is for disciplinary items. It gives both staff, city employees, a clear avenue as to which, if they have an issue that they feel is inadequately addressed or considered, they have those proper avenues to go about doing that, and then we would have documentation supporting those things. And in talking with both the personnel advisory committee and the department head team, I just viewed that this would be a welcome improvement to our current practices, undefined beyond just the initial action. So those are the kind of the three big things. The others are just primarily updates to things that have happened since 2020. And then just the other note is that a lot of the, just as far as city employees updating their information, whether it be addresses or direct deposit information, we want them to do that in person in the audit department, as we get a lot of scam emails from bogus email addresses. And so we want those sensitive personnel information changes to occur in person. But other than that, we'd welcome any questions or comments from the commission.
I do here, and it's on with your employee relations up here.
Employee relations.
You took out and maybe brought to the Board of Commissioners, all irreconcilable employee complaints, grievances, requests shall be channeled through the department head, which is correct. If possible, to the city administrator thereafter, and then to the commissioner whose portfolio is involved. Looking at this and reading this, we're a board of 5.
Right.
Everything goes through the commission. And don't take this the wrong way. I know you come from Grand Forks where it's a mayoral system. Maybe the city administrator's got a lot of more pull there. But to me, this doesn't look like any of this stuff is coming to the 5 to make the decision. It's going to go to a board. Then that board makes their decision, and then it's done. As far as I see in our code of ordinances and stuff like that, it's 5 of us that govern the stuff. And if there's a grievance, that's why it comes to us. So 5 make the decision. And I know this has probably come up off of something that's happened here recently, and why a lot of this is being changed to how it's being changed. We did have an assessment done in the Dells Lake PD. I'm not sure if any of the commissioners have seen that assessment. Okay, because 2 of us didn't. And
I believe it was made to,
no, I never got it.
I thought everybody was welcome to it, privy to it.
No, never, no email, nothing. All Spencer had mentioned to me that it was done. And the problem I have with that is why we govern with 5 is because we're a diverse 5. We're not buddies with so-and-so or so-and-so. That way somebody's, covering our back so that, we don't get too far into this stuff. And just seeing the things, yep, there's been some stuff in my portfolio that should have been taken care of, handled differently, and I wish it would have came to 5.
I believe there still could be an appeal process to the 5 commissioners if necessary, right?
But it doesn't say anything in here.
I mean, but it could be, but it's, our intent, I believe, was we have department heads that are responsible for that department. It travels up to the administrator. He's got our backs and he got us covered. It should be able to stop there, but if it can't, I suppose it could be an option of appeal process to it, but I don't see a commission back, not supporting if it went through that chain of command, so to speak. I don't see us not supporting what the ultimate decision was made.
Depends on what information is on both sides. We put our heads where they're supposed to be. We're supposed to trust them, but I like to verify and trust. And sometimes stuff gets sugar coated to us. Okay, so, yeah, go ahead, Spencer.
Yeah, so as far as the review process, right? Basically, so as far as appealing to the department, appealing to the city administrator, first off, right, we want to exhaust the executive branch in vetting, right, and consideration, right, prior to, bring it to the legislative branch, which is why, if, let's say I review something and, I agree with the department head, there is that electoral involvement with it, with two commissioners and the city attorney, the mayor, and the portfolio holder. And I would say in talking with the department head group and the policy advisory committee, and it'll just be a fundamental disagreement, right? It's whether or not the city commission chambers broadcast live on YouTube for the whole world to see is the appropriate forum to handle employee disagreements with senior management. And I will disagree with you to say that that's not the appropriate forum, which is why we've tried to pursue this grievance review board, which has electoral representation on it.
Well, I see that too, but, if somebody asks me, hey, what's going on here? I'm honest with them. They elected me. Transparency is huge with me.
And so
I'm not trying to hide anything behind 4 layers of different policies and steps.
and nothing would be hidden because it will be in writing. The appeals are in writing. The appeals to the grievance report are in writing. They may want to meet with the employee. They may want to meet with the manager. They may want to meet with them both at the same time. They have the ability to do what they would, and then they will respond in writing.
So that stuff is public knowledge. If somebody
Personal
wants to
records
come
are
in and get
public
it.
knowledge.
If somebody wanted to, yes,
Yes.
I would say yes. And that Spencer said it exactly how we discussed it when we had the meeting, is just to keep it away from this, some of this trivial stuff. Might not be trivial, might be important to somebody, but in this forum, it's just not where you want to be having that conversation.
And I would add that there's two sides to the coin, right? So sometimes this public forum, right, broadcast on you might dissuade an employee that may have a valid concern or feel that something isn't properly considered given the circumstances, but this venue would dissuade them from articulating their concerns. And so this lays out a firm written process, and it lays out clear expectations for the employees as to where they go if they have an issue, and the process that they have, as well as everybody in the organization has a clear understanding. Because right now, beyond the department head or the supervisor taking action, there is no defined process on how to handle any disputes within the organization. So just trying to clarify expectations for all city employees as well as management. And I would also add, Commissioner Hamry, all members of the commission, that, this wasn't just, this wasn't just me, right? So Tanya and I said, hey, in a department head meeting, right, hey, we should probably have while we're reviewing the manual, let's take a look at grievance. So Tanya came up with something that she's done in other organizations. We went back and forth. We brought it in front of the policy advisory committee, made a few changes, brought it in front of the department head team, made a few changes. And so I would say that this process was created collectively with a lot of stakeholders in the organization.
I don't see a problem with this as long as the commission has right to the written paperwork and the portfolio holder is notified. So other than that, I'm good with that.
And that's why it was put that it has to be in writing, so that there's none of this, he said, she said, whoever said it. You put it in writing, you document it. This is what we're acting on or responding to. And you have to be responded back to in a certain, and put timeframes on it too, so that it doesn't drag out, was the thought behind it.
Any other questions?
I was just going to say to Shane that I understand too the fact that if I was an employee, I wouldn't want my business out on a YouTube either. That's just the way of thinking of it too.
There's nothing that would prevent somebody from making a request to appear before the commission, right? I mean, that's still, that option is there. Somebody through their attorney can make a request.
Mm-hmm.
But through the department head meeting, when we had the conversation with the administrator and Tanya with Human Resources, I think the department heads all felt that this seemed like a reasonable approach.
And then I would put down in the bottom then of your grievance, then you still have a right to bring it in front of the commission. I mean, if you want to put all steps down there.
Well, there is at any time through the grievance process, either the employee or supervisor level may request alternate dispute resolution or mediation services.
We contract with the village, you know, and so there are all other avenues. All other avenues to include, you know, state labor commissions. Those are, no avenues are closed. This just sets a clear and defined process. And, you know, I understand that we live in a smaller community, right? So a lot of times people bump into each other. You might hear a few things, right? As a commissioner, you can say, okay, well, have you gone through the process, worked through the process, and see what happens, right? You know, that's, you know, something you can also communicate to employees.
Hopefully the employees can trust the process, because right now it's very nil to none on that process right now.
That's your opinion.
That's not, that's hearing from employees.
Well, my office is always open. If anybody has a concern, I will be happy to meet with them.
Okay, what's the wishes of the commission?
Okay, we're on the,
The policy updates and
well,
additions, second,
I'll
number
make a
2.
motion to accept the city policy manual updates and additions.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Hatch. Any further discussion? All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Pierce, how'd you vote?
Voted aye.
Aye, okay. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner, motion carries. Number 3, first reading of ordinance 990 refusal. That's for you, Jack.
So it says refusal because we need to add the refusal update to it, because our city code, we prosecute driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs under the city. But sometimes, so the public has to consent to it's called the Intoxilizer 8000. However, people can refuse to consent to that or to a blood draw. And when they refuse to do that, they are then charged with refusal under North Dakota law, which has the same penalties as a DUI. And actually, they're enhanced a little bit, but that is kind of a little bit nuanced for what this is. But we didn't have a code to charge refusals. So all refusals that happen within the city were being prosecuted by the state's attorney's office. And I think it's within the city's purview and benefit to have the city attorney prosecute the all DUI offenses within the city. And so basically what I did is I just kind of rewrote the entire DUI ordinance to make it very clear, very easy, and consistent with North Dakota law. It'll also be nice for the officers because there's only one code provision to for them to remember to cite. And it'll be inclusive of DUI firsts, DUI seconds, and refusals. So it'll be nice that way. So I'd recommend approval.
Well, this is just first reading, right? We don't approve it.
Yeah, right. But I
Okay.
think that's the process.
I guess we got questions of anybody? Anybody have questions
Chief
on it?
Kanowski, how do you feel about this? Is it read where you think it's good?
Yeah, well, see, it's a Class B misdemeanor, so we were not be able to process or prosecute anybody in city court because they refused. It's all, like you said, go in the district court. So now now it's under one ordinance, we could prosecute that in city court. It's a B misdemeanor, it's allowed, so the verbiage will allow us to do so. Plus, it's under one ordinance, kind of like the current DOI law is in the Century Code. But this way, like I said, it allows us, and we haven't been able to do it before, so this is a smart
Good
way
thing.
to do this.
All right. So no action necessary at this point, but
No,
any
just first
more?
reading.
Pardon?
Yeah, just first reading. And if
Okay.
you guys have any questions.
Apparently not. Okay,
Thank you, Jack.
thank you. Item number 4, special event alcohol permit for Ed's Bait Shop. Spencer.
Yes, Mayor, members of the commission, just bringing this one to you. Again, we can administratively approve these. This one is just a little bit unconventional. Ed's Bait Shop, again, looking to cater or do a social at the Memorial Building for a wedding in October. So this is just put before you as they are not within city limits. They have a county liquor license. However, based on past city attorney opinion, with the city commission's approval, they can serve within city limits. So this is just going before you again for approval because it is a little bit more unconventional. And then approved by the police chief as far as a public safety standpoint, but will require the presence of officers.
We approved the last one, right?
You did.
Yeah. I'll make a motion for it.
Motion by Commissioner Hamry, second by Commissioner Pierce. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now, number 5, the Renaissance Zone Authority, appointment of a member. Rob.
Just looking to have Sherry Olson appointed to fill a vacant spot, excuse me, a vacant spot on the Renaissance Zone Authority. She will be representing the school district, which will hopefully help us with our development plan. The term would expire June 30th of 2026.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins,
I'll second.
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Pierce. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 6, pay estimate number 1 for city project 230201. It's a water main replacement 28-23 and 29-23. Mike.
Estimate includes work completed on Second Street Northeast for completed work. Total due this estimate, $283,541.76. Recommend approval. Pay estimate.
Okay. We have a recommendation to approve. What's the wishes?
I'll make a motion to approve the payment.
Motion by Commissioner Robbins.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Hatch. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Pierce,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry.
Aye.
Commissioner Hash.
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins.
Aye.
President Mo.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 7, a release of easement for Lake Toyota. Mike.
I'll draw your attention to the 4th page in that section. There's a map that's included. So we understand what we're talking about as far as the easement release. There was an alley that was vacated in Pitcher Park subdivision, and within that alley, there was an easement that was granted for the city to have public utilities, namely water and sewer. But water and sewer, to the best of our knowledge, was never put in that easement area. Currently, that easement area has been identified as part of the Toyota improvement and the Toyota development, and that easement being there will limit what they can do to the property. Since that easement's been there for over 50 years and hasn't been used, I don't believe that we're going to be installing any water and sewer in that vacated alley. So we met with the property owner. Property owner is looking at doing some additional improvements in that area. We did find that there is a water and sewer line located a little bit farther to the west, which would serve water and sewer service to the eye clinic as well as Mr. and Mrs. J's. The property owner agreed to put a new easement over the section of property that the utilities are actually located. So he would grant an easement to the city that would take care of the utilities that we have in place, do in fact have in place that serve customers. And then the city would release the easement where there are no utilities. So recommend approval as outlined in the memo, recommend approval of the easement release.
So in layman terms, we're just gonna switch easements.
That's a good layman term for it.
I'll make a motion if that.
Motion by Commissioner Hamry,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? All in favor of this motion, say aye.
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 Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Motion carries. Item number 8, authorize the call for bids for a snowplow. Mike.
Memo's included in your packet. There may be some additional discussion related to the authorized call for bids. We have to authorize call for bids because it exceeds our bidding threshold for $30,000. I don't know if the city attorney's had some time to review Sourcewell and the potential for the city, if there's any action that the city would have to do, where we could just simply piggyback Sourcewell for a.
You should be able to use Sourcewell. That's a governmental agency that works for you.
It's already been vetted.
That's already been vetted, yes.
Yeah, I don't know that it's been approved by the city commission. I know.
We bought a fire truck through it.
Volunteer side.
City Grand Forks uses it all the time. Sourcewell?
But
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
think he's
just-
wondering if we made a motion where we'll accept them to do that.
Yeah, if you look at our municipal code, I don't know that that's identified. I know that the legislature took action. I know that government entities do it. In
Okay.
fact, in some cases, you really have to watch what you can, if you buy it through Sourcewell. Very recent saw something that was significant savings going through Sourcewell. In some cases, it might be just a little bit more about the same price. So it's just
They
a
go on the
process that
bidding
we go
for
through.
Yeah.
It is a nice resource that
Right.
is available to us. What that can do is, if you're buying that same piece of equipment, speccing that same piece of equipment, if that's the most competitive price you're going to receive, you're saving a process of going through the bid process and 3 weeks or a month, or depending upon how the meetings fall.
Sure.
So it can shorten the lead time in getting equipment.
So you're just looking for our approval to use Sourcewell?
Yeah, in this particular case, yeah, we either have to authorize a call for bids, and then I'm looking at the city attorney to see if he had a chance to review the Sourcewell.
I have not had a chance to review Sourcewell.
Is our local entities on that? For like the snowplow?
Yeah, the snowplow can be purchased through Sourcewell, that is correct. Like I'd be dealing with Butler to do the purchase, but it'd be Sourcewell pricing.
Mayor, well, members of the commission, maybe at a future meeting, we can, amend our city code just to make sure that we clarify and that we're consistent with state code, if that would
Mhm.
please the commission, just to clarify and make sure that we're all in good standing moving forward.
No, Sourcewell is a good way to purchase equipment.
I just want to make sure that our locals ain't,
Well, I think you can do it through the local group.
In some cases, the manufacturer requires you to go directly through them.
Okay, yeah.
But it's a little bit odd. You purchase through Sourcewell directly to the manufacturer, but it's still, in this one particular case, went through a local vendor. But I don't know that the local vendor gets a commission on it, because it is direct
I think they
manufacturer
get one, but
pricing.
it's a reduced commission.
It's a,
like.
This was a
fire trucks are
significant-
different because we
right.
don't have a vendor here for them, but I just want to make sure that we're not, pushing our vendors off to the side either.
in this particular case, I don't know that it's going to really matter with the lead time required for the snowplow. I mean, we can do the advertisements, the specs are already put together for it. We can do the advertisement, but make sure it's reviewed by the city attorney and the city administrator. It's something that we should take a look at. I think the legislature approved it this year. In fact, recommend approval of the authorization to call for bids.
I'll make a motion to approve the authorization of calling for bids.
Commissioner Robbins, second?
I'll second.
Second, Commissioner Pierce. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Citizen comment. Anybody here wishing to address city? Okay. Informational items. We have the August 2023 financial report available to us. If you wish to look at it, it's about 200 pages long. Okay,
Again.
and
Again, always taking suggestions if you want in a different format. However, end of September will be end of quarter three, so we'll give you a more detailed, highlighted version as we're at the end of quarter three.
perfect.
Nothing out of the ordinary in this one right now.
No, sales tax came in August delightfully a lot higher than I expected, so that was good.
That's always good.
Good here.
Okay, if not, motion to approve the payment of list of bills as submitted.
Oh, I would just add too, so on the list of bills, the loan guarantee, so all the paperwork's in Forward Devils Lake's name, so we would just be reimbursing Forward. That was on there, so the total list of bills will be $343,027 less than the number on the list of bills.
So we'll make a motion to minus that.
I would just,
Whoever-
if you could say, approve the list of bills with the exception of the loan guarantee, please.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, I'll
Was
make a
that
motion to
Dale's making that motion.
approve the bills as presented minus the loan guarantee.
Commissioner Robbins has, and then Commissioner Hamry second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Commissioner Pierce,
Aye.
Commissioner Hamry.
Aye.
Commissioner Hash.
Aye.
Commissioner Robbins.
Aye.
President Mo.
Aye, motion carries. If there's no other business to come before the city commission, meeting adjourned.
Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, you